Well, Chris, welcome to Times Radio.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm such a super fan. In fact, I'm feeling slightly hysterical that I'm in the studio with you.
Hysterical?
Honestly, such a fan of yours. And went to see you last night at the Soho Theatre, which was absolutely fabulous. So you've come over from LA. You've not played in London since, I think, 2018.
That's exactly
right.
We're
now in a post-pandemic, post-Brexit world. Mm-hmm. How have you found performing in London?
Well, I came here for I'm trying to get ready for this taping that I'm doing. And so the audiences are it's more challenging. You know, it's like, there's like a thoughtfulness. It's, I feel like I can do the funniest thing ever and then immediately have to do, like, there's no momentum.
We're just too tired, Chris. We're all out of momentum in this country.
Oh, it's an exhaustion thing?
We're just all done. We're done.
Oh, okay. In a good way, though. Like, it's like it feels like a boot camp. Like, I felt like I really got better in just that week that I was here in 2018. And again, I'm really feeling like I have to. And also the fact that people don't laugh while you're talking. And I've never ended a sentence in my life. I've been interrupted my whole life. It's like, I just use ellipses and stuff, and I hope that someone's just going to either laugh or speak over me. And so here, like, if they hear, it's like a very active listening group.
We do active listening.
So I have to, that.
Do a lot of nodding and smiling,
yes,
basically.
and then like you can suck up the laughs immediately when someone starts talking again, and it's
And is that very different from your American audiences?
Yes. Well, I think American audiences, they'll be shrieking the whole time, and then they'll be like, good show. Here, it's like silence, and then afterwards, like, that was the most bloody brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life, mate.
We're famed for being passive aggressive, even when we're enjoying something. We don't want to give away too much. But
it's preservational.
Yeah, exactly.
Your little nuggets.
You don't want to give it away too much.
You're resource guarding.
Don't want to throw it away. But what's so brilliant?
Where were you in the crowd last night, by the way?
Oh, I was right at the front.
Were you? The front row with
second row, right at the corner, because you had two quite fun but kind of slightly weird audience members.
Cruel. There was a cruel older man.
There was a cruel older man who you tried to high five.
I've never.
And he left you hanging.
Do you understand what that did to my soul and mood? It was so devastating. It was like, and I kept trying to come back, and then one time he was shaking a cane at me at one point. It's just, if you go for a high five or someone, it's like a given, like they're going to high five.
It's like, don't leave the guy hanging when he's the guy with the microphone that everyone's paid money to come and see, dude.
It was kind of thrilling, though.
But I sat behind the guy who kind of gave you a bit of a withering put down at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, the devastating. I was trying to utilize the phrase "yummy mummy." I learned the phrase like that day, and so I was trying to use the phrase "yummy mummy" as much as I could, thinking that would endear me to the local audience, and it didn't. They gave me nothing, and I asked why everyone seemed to recoil whenever I would use the phrase "yummy mummy," and he said, "Well, how did you phrase it?" It was so eloquent, but it was something. It might be that nothing about you says either yummy nor mummy.
It was really clipped.
Oh my!
And
it was
precise.
So succinct.
It was. And everyone was like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
But having said that, it was an amazing gig.
Okay.
Everybody loved it, and you've built up like this huge following, and like I say, you haven't been here since 2018, and a lot of that has come from your online presence, and you have, as you say in your show, you become an internet creator. Very important work you do.
So important.
Seminal. But your online stuff is amazing. So tell us about why you moved into that space. Was that because of the pandemic? Was it sort of necessity? Or did you think, actually, I want to start doing this stuff online?
I like moaning about being an internet creator the way people talk about being theater artists. That's what I was trying to do. And I think people understand. It was like an almost sexual moan. How did I get into it?
Yeah, and why did you decide to get into it? Was it because of the
desperation?
pandemic?
Oh, no. It was pure. I was doing stand up in LA, and like I've been doing for so long, and it was like I was just getting these just like nothing, and so I started just putting stuff online in hopes of getting more industry attention, and it didn't. And instead, it just kind of started trickling into this very loyal kind of cult fan base that allows me to tour now. And yeah.
And you've built up this massive fan base, and do check Chris out on social media. His stuff is absolutely brilliant, and you've got so much content as well.
Thank you.
Just like amazing stuff, very funny, lots of sort of musical songs as well, but not those types of musical songs, really funny musical songs.
They never rhyme. Yeah, I think that's my one rule. I don't... And there's no it's not like the chorus is the punchline. Like it's too cutesy. You feel the same way about musical comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be a bit sort of rough to make it work.
Yeah, jam the words in and have like a really desperate synth. I think, yeah, and there's like Sick Jan we were talking about. There's a real longing to that, I think.
Just tell us, Sick Jan is absolutely brilliant, and it's very timely because we've had a lot of tax affairs in this country. Sick Jan is about your accountant. Tell us briefly about Sick Jan.
And I was telling you, however, it's a story. I used to have this tax preparer at this really... low rent tax place called H&R Block in America, and she was always coughing, always had this kind of strange illness that she never addressed for years, and then
maybe she was patient zero with COVID.
Maybe starting in 2011, and she was she was hell bent on me claiming a home office, even though I couldn't really call it a home office, but she was like, if we do this, we'll go to there's a chance that you and I will go to prison for this, and it was kind of her kink. It became like this kind of like almost like it was this very loaded relation. It was like this kind of Bonnie and Clyde thing that we had going on, where every year where
the IRS was going to come after you. But
yeah, she had this fantasy of the IRS like kicking her door in, and like it was, and so the song is just this kind of. I think it captured a longing. I think I think you guys relate to that more than anything.
Well, we love a story about tax in this country, particularly of late. But look, let's just talk a little bit as well about why you got into stand up. Like, when was it that you decided that, oh, I make people laugh and I like being the centre of attention? And what was your journey into the world of stand up?
I wasn't doing great in high school, but I was doing well in the plays, like the theater shows. And so my mom was like, "What, Chris? What's going on? Like, what do you want to do?" It's like, "I want to be a comedian." And she's like, "How do you I was like, "I want to be like a comedic actor." And she was like, "Well, you can't just do that. You got to like do stand up." And I was like, "Do I have to?" And she like found this stand up this open mic for like high schoolers in the area. So I started at 16, and then worked in this like really like kind of alternative room in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The audiences there are very much like the audiences here. It's because that's like right by Harvard University. Mm-hmm. So there's like a thoughtfulness, and it's like more. They expect more from you than the average tourist club.
They're quite demanding.
Yeah, demanding. Yes. That's how my sister described the crowds here. And she loves to see me. And I was, dripping with sweat, really, really trying. And she said, it's good to see you with a demanding audience. And so, yeah, that's how I started. And I just kind of honed it there in that little club. And
then what was the sort of open mic circuit like in Massachusetts? Was there nothing? Or
bleak. I used to do a show at a bar also. I would host it. And it was like in Clinton, Massachusetts. And it's... there were a lot of like guys that were very angry, and one time like someone overheard some guy saying something in the bathroom about what he was gonna do to me after the show, so they had to bring like the police to like shadow me out after, because it was like it's a very aggressive. It was like a sports bar.
Right, okay.
And so they didn't, they were not thrilled about what I was doing.
They were not your people.
No.
They were not your people.
It takes a while to find your people.
And who are your people? Who is your audience? Who comes to see you, Chris Fleming? Because in the audience last night, it was a real mix of people. But I mean, a real mix of genders, lots of non-binary people.
Yes, very much.
And then, of course, random old man with the cane.
I think he was just on an email list. I think he was just a patron of the arts that was like wanted to see Peter and the Wolf or something, and like wanted. Maybe he thought I was Fran Lebowitz. I don't know what, but that was that. And then if he sits next to like some, you know, a young person with like dyed hair, like a buzz cut, like that freaks both of them out about being. So it kind of like ruins the whole row. Everyone's kind of, but
the tension was palpable.
A lot of tension.
Yeah, but who comes see you? Who's your crowd?
Very, I would say young. I would say nearsighted, theater, very queer. Very kind people also. Yeah. It's like young, kind, open-minded. It's really fun.
And you mentioned queer there. I mean, are you...
And mostly women.
Yes,
women.
A lot of women in the audience last night as well. A lot of gay men in the audience as well last night.
Yes.
And is that, you know, we're having these raging arguments right now about sexual politics and
you and
identity. Not us, we're getting on like a house on fire.
We're having a raging argument.
We're having a raging friendship right now. We're having a ragingly good time.
I need to check in with the call. I don't know if you consider this could be considered a raging argument in the UK. I'm trying to check in culturally.
With your do you go there with your comedy? Do you want to sort of, you know, make reference to the sort of wider politics and sort of sexual politics that's going on right now?
I mean, no. I think it's important to have your toe in the water of what of the vibe, but no. You know, I think there was a lot of labeling and everything around discussions about gender identity, and I try to avoid assigning labels to myself, and so I try to kind of keep a fluidity there and not answer questions and not give these concrete statements about that. And I think that's more of I try. So to keep things whimsical, I think I try not to get too
in the gutter of politics. Well, you're a wise man.
I'm also not. I don't think I'm educated enough to have like.
Chris, you are clearly educated enough. There's a lot of people who are less educated than you. They're like, I'm steaming in with a really ill-informed opinion.
But that can give you. It's like with that amount of brain damage, you have the confidence to do it. It's like the second you start being like, should I be saying this? Then that's how you mess it up. And I will imitate politicians in my country. One in particular, I'm obsessed with her, and it's just more of a set. Her name's Amy Klobuchar, and it always feels like she's kind of like. I watched the primary debates for the Democratic primaries in whatever year that was, and she was just like her attitude. I'd never seen it in politics before. It's just like she was. I pictured her in like a beach chair, just kind of leaning back. And I've made all these videos with her. Just like, I wrote like a screenplay about her. Like one night, I'm just obsessed with her. But it's not really about knowledge. It's just more of like this inspiration I get from her essence.
And also, there's another sketch which I absolutely love, which is called Lemon Donut. And you mentioned Cynthia Nixon, which why? It just made me laugh so much. Why did you think of Cynthia Nixon?
I don't know. My goal, so I made a little note in my phone app, and it was like, the first idea was to try to say something about, I was like, I have a fear that Harry Styles is going to make a sexual song about like ruin the phrase lemon donut. I just had this like premonition one night at like 2 a.m. and I was like, let's make a video about that. But then I was like, let's just try to say lemon donut as much as I can. I think that'd be funny. And I don't know, Cynthia Nixon just popped into my head as this kind of elegant, like New York woman, like glowing,
radiant,
incredible posture, everything put like ducks in a row, lady. It's about her, about how they're for her specifically, right? And like we feel like we shouldn't have access to them. Is that the crux of it?
It was so good. It was so good. And I think for a lot of us, we just knew exactly what you meant when you said Cynthia Nixon. Went, yes, Cynthia Nixon.
You know, she's always like dewy, kind of.
And she's always trying to run for things and be amazing.
Always running
she's
for
amazing.
things.
She's a very productive woman. But look, Chris,
a lot of private schools that she's dropping those kids off at.
She's a busy woman.
Yeah.
A lot of juggling, a lot of multitasking.
A lot of Brooklyn schools.
But look, your career has really gone from strength to strength. You're somebody who you've got an amazing stage presence. You're amazing live performer, as I saw for myself.
Thank you.
Last night, you've got this.
What percent were you laughing? Like 90%, 95%?
I'd say like
80%,
99%. 99%.
I'm like desperate to talk to people after. Like I need to know what's going on.
You need the validation.
Of course, I need the validation, but here specifically, I just need to. Like, what's going on?
People loved it. People honestly loved it. But you're right, British audience, and I've played that room in the Soho Theatre. I've done my own one-woman show.
How do you feel there?
It can be, it's a great theatre. It's such a renowned. It's a very special room in London.
Yes.
To play. It's a real kind of home of comedy.
Yes.
And particularly our kind of, I'd say, view of the world, sort of comedy as well. But it's such a big room in the way that can be quite tough. So I think you did brilliantly. I think you did absolutely brilliantly.
And they're so close to you, and
you're practically sitting on their lap.
And my biggest tell is when my glasses fog up. That's when I'm struggling to connect.
The heat was quite something.
That's when I became delirious. I was trying to end the show like 3 different times, and I couldn't.
I was ending my menopause at that point. I was like, this is just. Please tell me this is the final wave. This is the final hot flush I'm ever going to have.
I thought you meant like cooking it out of you.
Accelerating the menopause. It was so hot. You probably went through your menopause as well on stage.
Well, I did in 2014.
You're wearing it very well.
Yeah.
But final thing before we let you go is your career's going from strength to strength, and you have some exciting news. You are going to be doing some television stuff. We can't give away too many details, but just give us a few teasers.
I'm taping a special in next month in March, and it's an hour special, and it's sketch, stand up. A lot. That's what I'm working out. The show that a lot of what you saw will hopefully be in that, and I'm very excited. It's
and this is your first big TV special.
Yes, the first one that will make it to actually to
and
TV.
So how did you react when you got the news?
Relief. I think it was at my age. It's more relief than ecstasy. It's like I think that's my highest emotion is relief.
Relief, sort of mild.
As an anxious person, it's just because joy can be manic.
It can be a lot.
Yeah.
It can be
almost traumatizing. Yes. Coming back from a really good time can be as bad as coming back from a bad time.
Too much joy, it's too stressful. It's like messing with all my emotions.
Yeah, I have to pogo stick around the house all day.
So when
now.
that comes out, will people be able to see it, access it from this country as well?
Yes.
Brilliant.
They will be.
Brilliant. And do we have any idea when it might be coming out?
I've heard, you know how they use Q terms here? It's like Q1, Q2.
QAnon.
It's like
we did Q.
Nothing. No, it's not. It's nothing to do with QAnon. Quarters. You go, okay. So Q. It's like Q3. They told me. Okay. You know how business people talk. Yeah.
That sounds very sick, Jan. It sounds very like financial.
I told them Q9. I only want to be in Q9.
Q9.
That's the only Q I accept.
That is my Q.
That's my sweet Q.
That's my sweet Q.
Yeah.
Well, look, Chris, it's been such a pleasure having you into Times Radio.
Such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you for coming last night. That really means a lot.